Hello boys and girls, welcome to the Math Club. In this video we're going to talk about Mathematics Year 9 Achievement Test, June 2021. Section A, Question 1. Simplify 14f minus 7y plus 11f plus 5y. In simplifying, it means we're going to make it as simple as possible. Now, to make it as simple as possible, we're going to add and subtract the like terms. Let's take a look at the terms here. Like terms, we have 14f and 11f. These are like terms in which they are the same. And like terms, we said that they are the same. Now, we're going to add them or subtract them depending on their signs. We have 14 plus 11 equals, very good, 14 plus 11 equals 25. So we have 25f. That's the first term. Now, the second one, here we have minus 7y and plus 5y. Y and y are the same, so these are like terms. So we're going to add or subtract these from each other. So we have minus 7y and plus 5y. So minus 7 plus 5, minus 7 plus 5 equals, very good, minus 2. So we have minus 2y. And this is the final answer for this question. Here, 25f minus 2y, which is here. We tick it or we put an x in the middle, depending on this, okay? Now, let's move on to the next question. Remember, when you simplify, it means make it as simple as possible. And that's the idea of simplifying. Now, let's go on to the next question. Question 2. So move this. Question 2. Which word describes the angle marked X on the diagram below? We talked about angles below here. First, let me cover this. Let me explain the angles again here. We talked about the meaning of each angle of these. Let's make them very fast here. If we need an acute angle, it means the angle is between 0 and 90. 0 and 90, which is like this. Good. That's the meaning of acute angle. Obtuse angle means the angle is bigger than 90, but smaller than 180. So it looks something like this. Okay, this is the angle. The next one is reflex. Reflex means what? It means it's bigger than 180 and like this, bigger than 180 and smaller than 360. That's the meaning of reflex. This is a reflex angle, as you can see, bigger than 180, smaller than 360. And the last one that we have here is the right angle, which looks something like this, and it's a 90-degree angle. 90-degree angle, and this is the meaning of right angle. So this is acute, this is obtuse, reflex, and right angle. Now, which one is this angle, or which one describes this angle? Yes, very good. This one looks like this. So it's an obtuse angle. Obtuse angle. Very good. This is the idea of the question 2. Now let's move on to the next question. Here. Question 3. Question 3. Find the mean of these numbers. The mean of these numbers. How do you find the mean number? Very good. You add all of them together. You add all of them together and then you add all of them together and then divide them. And then divide them by their count. So you have to divide them by their count. How many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you have to add them and divide them by 7. Good job. Divide them by 7. First we add them like this. Add. This is the idea of finding the mean between data. You add all the data together and then you divide them by their count or their number. Now, we're going to use a calculator here. Let's add them. 3.41 plus 4.56 plus 4.56 again plus 5.26 plus 6.35 plus 7.11 plus 8.93, and then I divide them by 7, and the answer will be 5.74. 5.74, and this is the final answer for this question. So the idea of finding the mean is adding all the data together and dividing them by their count. That's the idea of question 3. Now let's move on to the next question. Question 4. Which word describes the correlation shown on the scatter graph below? Now we have a scatter graph. We have the points here. They're not everywhere. We talked about having data or points everywhere. Now let's take a look at the answers. Let me zoom out so you can understand. Now, direct and downward is not used with correlations. We only use negative, positive, and no correlation. When do we use no correlation? If the points are everywhere. If we have points everywhere, we say no correlation. If the points starting from the 0 going that way, okay, you have to go that way, to the positive way. Starting from the 0 going that way, if the points are going up like this, it means it's a positive correlation. And if the points are going down, like we can see in the scatter graph here, it means it's a negative correlation. So the correct answer here is what? Very good. It's negative correlation. And this is the idea of this question. So you have to focus on the points. Start from the 0. If the points are pointing downwards, it means it's a negative correlation. If they are pointing upwards, it means it's a positive correlation. And that's the idea of this question. Now, let's move on to the next question. Let's zoom in. Let's get back here. Okay. Question 5. Students in a class are asked their age and how many siblings they have. The results are recorded in the table below. These are the results of this question. How many 13-year-old students have more than one sibling? Have more than one sibling. So you have to focus on the question. Once you have a question like this, you have to read it clearly. They want more than one sibling, not 3 siblings. They need, not one sibling, more than one sibling. So we need how many 13 years old? It means we're going to focus on this one. Okay. We don't want the 14 years old anymore. So we can put a line on it so we don't use it like this. This is the 14 years old. They need the 13 years old only. How many of them have more than one sibling? This one, no siblings, we're not going to use it. This one sibling, we're not going to use it. Here we have 2 siblings, 3 siblings. So we need more than one siblings. It means 2 and 3 as we have in the table. So we have 6 and 2. We have to add them together. We're going to add them together. 6 plus 2 equals, very good, 8. So the correct answer for this question is 8. And this is how you answer a question like this. Again, as we said, we're focusing on 13-year-old students. That's why we use this. We're not going to use this. And then we need more than one sibling. So no sibling and one sibling, we're not going to use it. We need more than one, so 2 and 3. So we're going to add 6 and 2 together. We get 8, and this is the final answer. Now, let's move on to the next question. Question 6. What is 1.3579 to 3 decimal places? Here, we're going to round this number to 3 decimal places. Let's use this space here so we can work. So we have 1.3579. Let's write it here. 1.3579. Let's make it bigger so you can see it. Good. Now we're talking about rounding to 3 decimal places. 3 decimal places. And we said decimal places start from the decimal point. So the 3 is the first decimal place. So we start counting from the decimal point, but we have to write the answer, which is the 1, or the number, the full number. So we're going to write the 1 and the decimal point, and then we're going to count 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places as they want. And then we look at the number after the box that we put, If it's 5 or more, it means we're gonna add 1 to the number before it. Okay? If it's less than 5, we're not gonna add anything to it. So here we have 9, it means we have to add 1 here. So it's gonna be an 8. And the final answer, let's write it here, it's gonna be 1.358. And this is the idea of this question. So you have to focus on the steps that we did. First, we wrote the number again, and then we started counting decimal places from the decimal point, and we have to include the number before it. If it's a 0, we have to include it. If it's a 1, whatever it is, we have to include it. Now we count 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, we close the box. Now we look at the number after the last decimal place that we counted. If it's 5 or more, we're going to add 1 here as we did here. If it's less than 5, we're not going to add it, we'll just remove these numbers. Now the final answer is 1, as we said, 1.358. 1.358, and this is how you answer a question like this. Now let's move on to the next question. Focus on rounding using decimal places and significant figures. If you don't understand them, watch the videos over and over and you'll get the idea. With decimal places, we count after the decimal point. With significant figures, we start counting from the beginning, but we don't start with zeros. That's the idea of the difference, or the main difference, between decimal places and significant figures. Now let's move on to the next question. Question 7. Chaya, Kinjal, and Sagni, I think, share $240 in the ratio of 8:4:3. How much will Kinjal get? Now, as you can see in this question, we have to focus on the number that we have. If this is a part number, or like it's not the total number, it means we're going to use the X method. But this one is not a total number. This is not a part number. This is a total number. So we have to use the ratio method. What's the meaning of the ratio method? The first step in a ratio method, we have to add all the ratios together. Add all the ratios together, 8 plus 4 plus 3, and we will get a number, which is, let's use a calculator, it's okay. So 8 plus 4 plus 3, and I'll get 15. So I got 15 from adding. Now, what do I do with the 15? I'm going to take the 240, divide it on the 15. Divide it on the 15. Because this is the total number. And this is the total ratios. Very good. So I divide the total number, or the total money, on the total ratios, and I will get the ratio between each one of them. So I'll divide 240 by 15. 240 divided 15. And the answer is 16. The answer is 16. Let me cover this so I can work here. The answer is 16. So I'm going to write here 240 divide 15, and the answer is 16. What is 16? 16 is the secret number, as we say, or it's the ratio, or the money for one ratio equals 16. So each one ratio here, not the 8, only one of them, one of the 8, equals 16. Now I'm going to take the 16 and I'm going to follow the question. The question is asking about Kinjal. It's asking about Kinjal. Which one is Kinjal? It's in the one in the middle. Good. So it's the ratio in the middle. It's the ratio in the middle. I'm going to take the ratio in the middle and multiply it by 16. Multiply it by 16. So I'm going to say 16 times 4. 16 times 4. And I will get the final answer. So 16 times 4 equals 64. Equals 64. So the right answer, or the amount of money that Kinjal makes or takes from this ratio, is $64. And this is how you answer a question like this. From the beginning, I'll do it again. Focus with me, guys. First, I have the total number, which is 240. And how do I know it's the total number? Because The question said that these three people are sharing this number. It means it's the total number. If it's the total number, it means I have to find the total ratio by adding all the ratios together. After adding all the ratios together, I'm going to divide the total number on the total ratio, and I will get 16. And then, depending on the question, I'm going to multiply the 16 by the ratio of the person that they need. If they need the money for all people, I'm going to multiply for all of them. I'll multiply this by 8, then by 4, then by 3. But they want Kinjal only, so I'm going to multiply it by 4, and I got $64, which is the money that Kinjal gets. And this is how you answer a question like this. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.